Thanks, Michelle, and welcome back over to this side. You never, of course, left campus, but back to athletics. We are so happy to have you back doing what you're doing. And I would echo what you said with Chris and others that have filled in the meantime. We appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe I'll just start maybe and catch you up here quick as to where we're at. We are on about practice number 20 for us, which includes this past Saturday a scrimmage against North Dakota State. We met them halfway in Minneapolis and played a 40-minute scrimmage. The guy, I would say that scrimmage and our practices on Monday and Tuesday have been our three best workouts since we've gotten started here about 3 weeks ago. Really impressed with the uptick in terms of communication and felt like our energy level was really good, our effort level was really good on Saturday, and that's continued here Monday and Tuesday. Three things that we have focused on that we've talked about as we got started at the end of September. One is our team camaraderie. We started our first practice. We've got a power thought that goes on our practice plan. In our first practice, I talked with the guys about an interview from the Ryder Cup with Michael Jordan and Steph Curry, and I'm sure many of you are Ryder Cup fans and maybe had a chance to see that interview. If you didn't, it's easy to find, and it's good. It's about a 12-minute interview with the two of them. Steph asked Jordan about if any of the golfers had talked to him in terms of being a part of a team sport, right? Golfers all the time it's an individual sport for them, and the Ryder Cup gives them an opportunity to be part of a team. And one of the things that Jordan said in his answer was, you have to be willing to give bits and pieces of yourself to your teammates and to your team, right? And there's other parts in there that we talked a little bit about with our guys, but we asked them to watch the entire 12-minute interview. And that's where we've started. We don't feel like as a staff, regardless of what your roster looks like, who you've got back, what the experience level is, what the talent level is, you're not going to get all the way to the places you want to get, your dreams, your goals that you have for a season and for your program, if the camaraderie isn't always being worked on, and if it isn't in a place that's going to allow you to get through a season, and more importantly, again, reach those goals, reach those dreams. So that's the first thing, and the place where we started with practice. The second will be our defense and rebounding, and that is one that you hear from us each and every year. And the reason that we place such an emphasis on our defense and our rebounding is you've got more control over those two things than you do the offensive end, right? You've heard plenty of people talk about that same thing. I don't know that it matters what sport you're talking about. If you can control and really work at the things that you have more control over, right, you're going to give yourself a much better chance to be consistent as you go through your season. So I'm spending a lot of time on our defense and our rebounding. And then the third thing is we have scrimmaged more this year. We've played more 5-on-5 and spent more time scrimmaging this year than we have, I think, in any of the 15 years that I've been a head coach and that our staff has been together. And the main reason we made that decision was with Antoine Kimmons missing last year, with A.J. Green missing last year, having the two of them back now to give them opportunities to play 5-on-5. Give them opportunities to scrimmage. The other being, when you think about our roster right now and our team right now, 2 years ago there's a group of 4, 5, 6 guys that played together a lot. Last year that group of 4, 5, or 6 guys some of them are the same, but the groups are different. So to get AJ and Antoine as much 5-on-5, as many 5-on-5 opportunities as we can, to get that stuff on film, be able to watch it and work off of that film. And then also, like I said, to get, just to start to work to get everybody on the same page. We really like the roster. It's a talented roster. We've got an experienced roster. It's a deeper roster. But those things have to happen, right? The third one, the playing 5-on-5, gives you an opportunity to start to get on the same page. You defend and rebound, you got a chance. And I always feel like the most important, and again, no matter what kind of group you've got back, I always think the most important is how well we're going to get along, how well we're going to support each other, how much we're going to care about each other, to my first point being the camaraderie of our group. So we've spent most of the last month working on those three things. As I said, the scrimmage was really good. Our last two practices have been good. And I'll leave the basketball part there. Just a couple of quick updates, and then I will open it up for your questions. I referenced, maybe some of you on the Valley media call, I referenced one of our guys being out 4 to 5 weeks. That's Bowen Bourne. He's got a hand injury. He is expected back somewhere between our opener on November 9th and December 1st. And I realize that's that's about a 3-week window, but we're going to make sure he's healthy before we put him back out there. Okay. The other, Cole Henry will not play in our first 3 games. A violation of our policies in our program, student athlete code of conduct, something that took place in the spring and has been addressed and taken care of. Cole's doing great right now, but so that everybody knows, he will not play in our first 3 games. The last 2, Michelle referenced our first 3 games at home, November 9th, November 11th, November 14th. Throw in with those 3 games, our women have got a home game against the University of Iowa. Our administration, which I appreciate so much, we're able to get together and talk about some things, and they put together a ticket offering for $20. You can get to all 4 of those games. Right? So if you would help us get that out to everybody that would be interested, it's one of the things that I think sometimes you get both sides going, where our fans sometimes think, we don't know about this, we didn't hear about this, and sometimes we don't do a good enough job on our end of putting things together or getting it to them. Okay? So what I'm asking for is your help. Our administration has done a really good thing in putting those 4 games into a package and doing it for $20. So if you could help us get that out to everybody, both of our programs would appreciate that. And then we've got working on some things for the students, and we will get that out to them as soon as we dot the I's and cross the T's on that one. With that, I would take your questions. Yeah.
Coach Jacobson, how does your talent on this team compare to some of the past teams that you've had?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great place to start. Comparable to some of our better teams. You think what comes to mind first would be our team in 2015, and I start with that team because there was a very good group of seniors on that team, very talented group of seniors. With COVID, the opportunity for Trey Burhow, Taiwan Pickford, going Armar to come back and get the extra year because of COVID. Guys that are talented, guys that are older, guys that have experience, and then AJ and Austin being juniors on this year's team, COVID juniors. You take those 5 guys, and that's comparable to our upperclassmen in 2015 in terms of the number of guys, the talent, and the experience. And then the depth of that team was good. We easily played 9 guys on that team, and there was a 10th guy that played almost every night, not as many minutes, but almost every night. And we feel like this roster is deep as well. Yeah, the one thing, the 3 things I talked about to start, really important: the camaraderie of the group, the defense and rebounding, playing 5-on-5, working to get on the same page. That stuff, extremely important, but it doesn't matter as much as the talent that you've got in your group and the character that you've got in your group, and we like both of those things with this team.
And with as deep as that 14-15 team was, whether it was by design or organically, what things can you look back on that's helping with this team to get the buy-in that you need to roles and playing time?
Yeah, so I've gone back and watched a handful of those games, and there's some things that really stood out. One, our depth was a tremendous positive for us. Right. On the flip side of that, there were some nights where some guys that were good players didn't play as many minutes as they would normally play. And I would, that year, and back it up with the next year. Let's take Wes, Matt Bohannon, and Paul Jesperson. Okay? There were some nights where those guys didn't play as many minutes in the 14-15 season. And the next year, they were playing between 30 and 35 minutes a night, right? Those 3 guys really didn't come off the floor the next year. And were certainly good enough to play more minutes the year before that. So both of those things are part of it. One, having guys that are good enough to impact the game coming off your bench is a big deal. That had a lot to do with us winning games, and I don't know that it mattered home or away or time of the year, Cole. It had a lot to do with us having the kind of year that we had, is having enough guys that are good enough to help you win games on game night. And then the other side of that is a sacrifice. You know, and that's going to be a part of it. You know, the willingness to understand that, you know, you're lucky to be to be part of a team. And when you're a part of a team, you've got a responsibility to everybody around you. You know, that you're practicing with, and that you're with, you know, on a daily basis. You've got a great responsibility, and part of that with this year's team is going to be, you know, sacrifice. So, you know, both those things will be important.
Coach, you mentioned team unity. Last year, interrupted by COVID. One of the things you do off the court, you can do this year, this summer, this fall, that team unity concept that you couldn't do last year.
Yeah, you know, we're getting back to some of those things, KL. I'm still just a little bit, whether I should be or shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm still a little bit hesitant to take our entire group to, you know, one of the things that we've done, I think a lot of teams do, is you take your team bowling and you spend the time together. You go to a movie and spend that time together. I know we're in a very different place in terms of COVID right now than we were a year ago, thankfully, and hopefully that continues to move in the direction that it's going right now. But I've been a little hesitant to get back to some of those things. So, you know, it's more like I talked about to start the year, you know, immediately talking about and finding things that make sense to our players, right? They all know who Steph Curry is, and they all know who Michael Jordan is, and so that one really hit me on a number of different levels, right? Talking about teamwork and having it come from, you know, the greatest player of all time, talking to a guy right now who's one of the greatest players of all time. So finding things like that, KL, and maybe not being all the way back to where we feel comfortable doing some of the team things that we would like to be doing.
What are you looking for out of the flow offense this year? Obviously, you've had a few years in that system now. Is there anything in particular within flow that you're really aiming for this season?
Yeah, one of the things we've done now and I touched on it, you know, playing more, scrimmaging more, playing more 5-on-5. We have more of our offense in right now, early in the year, than we normally would. And I think that's probably the place where I would start, Cole, is working to get, because we've got the majority of our roster has been with us, working to get as many things in as we can early on. You know, there's been a number of seasons where we have gotten to game one and we're defending and rebounding and not doing it perfectly, but doing that side of the ball much better than we're doing the other side, and it really didn't bother me much, right? I hope I've gotten a little bit, adjusted a little bit and gotten a little bit wiser as I've done this, and knowing that, in particular with a team that is older and has some experience, you know, that we can do both. So we've worked hard to get more things in offensively, and I think that will help in terms of moving our base offense, moving flow forward. Specific to flow, the ball handling, passing, AJ's shot making, Antoine's speed, but the ball handling and passing of both of those players, having more ball handlers available again, having the entire roster, I think that by itself changes what flow looks like, right? Simply by having those two guys with us. And then you look at Bowen, you know, prior to him hurting his hand, he was playing terrific. Nate has got a completely different comfort level, you know, both of them, after the experiences they had last year. So I think some of it happens naturally as you gain experience. So there won't be wholesale changes to our base offense with flow. I think we'll see some improvements because more guys have played it, and you bring AJ back and you bring Antoine back, so now you've got two more ball handlers, two more passers, and again, AJ shot making. And one of the things that we've seen, which we saw 2 years ago, I think there's a lot gets put on how many points AJ scores, right? The thing that gets lost a little bit is how many points he helps his teammates get that is a little bit easier than what they might get, okay? And that has been fun to see again, okay? Antoine, not to the same level yet, but Antoine has done some of the same thing with his speed and transition. You know, he did it on Saturday. He was able to get past everybody, and all of a sudden you got 3 or 4 guys in the lane. He throws it out to Trey, who throws it to AJ, who's standing there wide open because he drove it past everybody in transition. So both of those guys have the ability to make the game easier for their teammates. And we've seen that, and that will make flow and really whatever it is that we're in, it's going to make those things just much more productive.
You know, with Antoine and with AJ, was it hard for them to get back into the flow of their game, considering that they were off a year?
Yeah, I don't know. It certainly has taken them a little bit of time, and that's where, making the decision to play more, to scrimmage more, I think has really been beneficial for both of those guys. So on Saturday, Antoine he had a terrific day on Saturday, but he threw the ball into the first row once, and he threw it somewhere else another time, and he did it in practice the other day. So he's mixing in both, right? He's got some high-level plays, and he's still turning it over a little bit too much, and we've just let him work through that. Right? We haven't stopped him each time that he's turned it over or made a mistake. I really haven't stopped him. I'm just going to let him get through it. Same with AJ. And you see it with both of them. About every 10 days, you see a little bit more of, okay, that's really close. You see some things. And so we've let both of them do it on their own timeline. And we've let them make some mistakes. We've let them get adjusted to being out there again. And I feel like seeing them here this past 3, 4, 5 days that it's been a good process for them.
Coach, AJ says he feels great, looks great,
Yeah.
Has there been any aha moments where he's went down there, took a hard hit, and bounced right back up, like, okay, well, we don't have to sit over here and do
Oh,
that?
yeah. The first time he went down, which it was, I don't know if it was before we started official practice on the 29th of September, or if it was just after that. But it was the first time that he went in, got bumped, and went down. I had that feeling, yeah, and right or wrong, right? I wasn't, as we were going, I haven't been worried about him since we've gotten started at all. He's done a great job. Bish, I think, is up here. Yeah, Bish is in the back there, and as we know, Bish has done a tremendous job with all of our guys for the 20-plus years that we've been together, and AJ did a great job. Bish has done a great job. So I haven't gone to practice, and even early on, as he's coming back, I haven't gone in, kind of holding my breath. I've never felt that way until, the first time he went down. Just that feeling of, man, I hope he gets right back up. So that's happened once, and he did. He got right back up. And since then, late September, early October, Jim, he's been knocked down a bunch. He's driving it in there, taking contact, like it. So, yeah, he's doing great.
Hey, Coach, we'll get your thoughts on the league. It's a rare year with COVID and so many players coming back in this league. Because if you look at those, Loyola, Drake, yourself, Missouri State, even Southern and Evansville returned almost all their players.
Right.
What's your thought on the league, multiple bids, and then last thing, addition of Belmont next year?
Yeah. The league will be the best that it's been in a long time. I've talked with really a number of people that have asked me about our team, asked me about college basketball in general, asked about the league, different conversations, Kale, and it's we feel great about our roster. We feel great about our experience, getting our 3 super seniors, if you will, getting those guys back. But then you start to look around, and for different reasons, COVID being the biggest, but for different reasons, everybody's got their guys back, it seems like, right? So this is the oldest our league has been, the most experienced it has been. Probably got a chance to be as talented or the most talented that it's been through a number of teams, right? Going down through whatever it is, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th team in our league. So I think it's going to make for, maybe the obvious, it's going to make for a great 18 games. The bigger picture, the more important part of it is, does that mean we've got some at-large bids coming at the end of it, right, to your second question? And that always comes back to who do you play in November and December, and then how do you do against them? So I don't know everyone's schedule well enough. I know that we have got a non-conference schedule that is good enough to get us an at-large bid, right? Now we got to go and we got to play. We're going to have to play. Like at Arkansas, at St. Bonaventure, Richmond coming in here, Vermont and Nicholls State, as Michelle alluded to, at Marshall, Liberty, the first game in Hawaii, and then who knows after that. Like, our schedule is terrific. So we've got our chance. And now you got to go do something about it, and that's something I know our guys are excited about, right? Anytime I go to them, no matter what year it's been for a long time now, anytime I go to them and say, hey, guys, now we already got these games. Do you want this one too? Yep, take it. And it's been no different this year. So we've got a terrific schedule in November and December. And again, I don't know what everyone else has got. I haven't looked close enough at their schedules. I know that we've got a number of teams in our league that are good enough, right? That are good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. I just don't know their schedules well enough, KL. But I do feel like this will be the best chance, the best opportunity for our league in a number of years to get maybe more than one at large, right? To get two of them, maybe get three of them with a couple of teams that you mentioned, and who knows, right? Maybe somebody else, right? There's some teams we're not talking about, and who knows?
And then, what's your thoughts on Belmont coming in the league?
Yeah.
This is a team that's receiving votes in the top 25 and
Yeah.
great tradition. And along with that, would you be in favor of a 20-game schedule?
Right.
To take some pressure off your non-conference?
Yeah, no question, no question. Adding Belmont is terrific. So you think back, this goes back a ways. There's a handful of people in the room that would remember these games or being at these games, but you go back far enough when we had a game with Iowa and Iowa State each year, right? So the opportunity for a top 50 or top 100 game, two of them. At that time, Creighton and Wichita State were still in the league, and both those teams were playing good basketball. So then you've got four of them when you play them twice in the league. So you had six of them built in before you started working on November and December with your non-conference schedule, right? Those things have changed. Now, some teams in our league, Loyola being one of them, has replaced the competitiveness of Creighton or Wichita, whichever one you want to look at. And there's other teams that have done really well since those two have left our league. But the non-conference part of it, we've had to go find them all now, right? It's been a long time since we've had both of those games. I bring that up because you had Belmont and you had two of them, right? Now you get two of them with the things that they have done. And they're doing it year in and year out for a long, long time, right? It's not like they just, got lucky in the last year or two and all of a sudden they've been doing it for a long time. So you don't feel like that's going to change. You feel like adding Belmont's going to give you two opportunities against the top 50 or top 75, wherever they might be in a given year. Going to 20 games, I would be in favor of that, KL. We've got to find 13 non-conference games right now, right? And Ike is the lucky one on the staff right now that gets to try to get that done. And it's a tall task. Like it was early September when we did I think it was early September when the last one with Vermont, right? And Vermont is tremendous. Like, that's not a game you really want to play. Like, I don't want to play Vermont. Nicholls State is really good. Like, I don't really want to play Nicholls State. In games like that when you're starting the year, and you're spending some buy money on teams, like those aren't teams you buy, right? But the difficulty of getting 13 games is real. So if we can go to 20 games in the league, and right now we know that Belmont is the two new ones, right? I'm certainly in favor of that. That cuts us. Then we're down to 11, and then I don't know. I have not heard. Like the most logical is Murray State. If our league was going to go to 12, I've heard nothing about it. I don't know anything about it other than it would be a natural, right? It would be a good fit for our league to have both of them out that way. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not going to happen, but and then maybe you can go to 22 and get down to 9 instead of 13, right?
Talked a lot about offense today, looking back at last season, transition defense, staying connected defensively in the half court was a reoccurring theme of conversation with the team. So with working AJ and Antoine back in with everybody else, how pleased were you at this point? What stuck out to you with the transition defense and staying connected in the half court?
Yeah, it's really been the two practices in the scrimmage. Before that, Cole, I would say as a staff and as players, right? I think as a group, we all would have told you before Saturday and the last two practices that we're not where we should be. And that's after 2.5 to 3 weeks of practice, right? I'm glad that we have the opportunity to do the close scrimmages. That brought a little bit out in our guys. I think some of the older guys, right after you get 2.5, 3 weeks into practice, some of the older guys have been doing this for 3 years or 4 years or a fifth year. It's enough of shell drill and enough of playing against each other. So the scrimmage, I think, brought some of it out of our guys. And they have carried that over on Monday and Tuesday here, and that's been really good. So we've taken a big step forward in the last 5 days in those 3 workout opportunities. For this group, I'll tell you that their challenge is going to be their communication while we're playing, right? When we're not playing, they're terrific. Like the way they get along and how they are with each other, like they're great. But when we're practicing and when we're playing, there's been, up until Saturday, too many times where we're not talking. And that, and that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be one of the main challenges for this group, right? And that just gets back to some of their personalities being a little more laid back. You know, AJ, Taiwan, Nate, you know, some of those, Trey's got an outgoing personality, but the communication has got to be there on the practice floor every day when we're playing basketball, right? I mean, so that's an area that we've talked a lot about, and an area that that we've got room for improvement.
You referenced the scrimmage. I'm sure you have another secret scrimmage coming up.
We do.
How do you make a decision of whether you're going to play an exhibition or the scrimmage? Is that based on maturity of your team, or what goes into that decision?
Yeah, we've tilted toward and like the scrimmages more, and that probably goes back 4, 5, 6 years. Okay, you know, maybe if we had if we get in a year where we've got a younger team and guys that haven't played in front of the crowd at all, that would be the one factor that we would maybe go back to an exhibition game. If it's guys that just haven't played much in front of a crowd, and we just want to get them out there once, we play one close scrimmage, we play one exhibition, so that they can be out there and have the, you know, just have the whole game atmosphere, right, and have some fans. Outside of that, we'll play the 2 close scrimmages, you know, just the Division I level of competition. Like I really liked how we played, and I really liked how the guys were, but we made a bunch of mistakes because North Dakota State is good. You know, they're a good team. And so then you make some mistakes, and you've got some things to look at on film and get back to work on. So outside of having a younger team and just wanting to see some fans once, KL, we will play 2 close scrimmages.
And my last one.
Yeah.
So you got a Valley game in early December.
Yeah, that'll be weird.
Yeah. How do
Yeah.
you feel about
Yeah,
that?
I don't know.
Before you go with
I don't know. That'll be weird, right? Yeah.
Before?
No, we've not. We're into year 21. We have not played a Valley game before Christmas. No, it'll be the first time. Yeah, yeah.
Where's Noah Carter at in his progression? What do you expect out of him this year?
Yeah, man, he's doing great. He was really good on Saturday in the scrimmage. He's made some really good strides at the defensive end of the floor. He's been. We made a slight change. Maybe back to your question, Cole. I didn't think of it when I was talking about flow, but we made a slight change with what he's doing within our base offense, where he now is going to do more where he's handing it off and rolling into the block, and a couple other, you know, little tweaks, if you will, all designed to get him the basketball more. You know, what we know is we need him to get more touches. We need him to be as involved in our offense as he can possibly be. Like he's that good offensively. He's worked extremely hard at his conditioning, and it's shown up. He's working really hard every day at the defensive end, and in terms of rebounding, in particular the defensive rebounding part of that. So he's on a great track. And from our standpoint, like I said, we made an important tweak to what his role offensively. Not that we didn't want him involved last year, but we made an adjustment to the structure of what we're doing so that he gets the ball more. You know, we want him to have the basketball a bunch.
If I recall correctly, last year the conditioning was the big thing for him. Is he closer to where you want? Is he?
Yeah, and it was more of a big thing going back to when he was a freshman. You know, coming in as an incoming freshman, that's when it was a big thing, and he knew that. You know, he came in and had a hard time getting through the early workouts, and that happens to freshmen, right? But it happened to Noah, where he had a hard time getting through those early workouts in the weight room and this, and he learned a lot through that even really the first 10 days when he was a freshman of 2 things. One, I better get there so I can catch up with my teammates, and 2, I don't want to go through this again where I can't get through some workouts. So into his second year, he had taken care of a lot of that by working hard, and he's continued to work hard on his body and on his conditioning. And he's just, when you see him today, when you see him down there, you'll be able to see it. I know you're just going to talk with him, right? We're not going to run up and down, but you'll just see it when you look at him. He's continued to work really hard at that.
What about Michael Duex? What have you seen out of him? Does he make an impact this year? Is that more of a?
Yeah, you know, we sat down with Mike. He's most likely we're going to redshirt Mike. But he's doing great. You know, one of the impacts of COVID is, of course, having the Gonar, Trey, and Taiwan, having them back, right? And so now that impacts Landon to an extent. It impacts Michael to an extent. So we just talked with Michael a couple days ago about this, and both things are happening. He's doing great. We think we got a heck of a player, and we do. And he's a terrific kid, and he loves working, and he's a happy kid. Like we're really excited about having Michael. With our roster and with COVID bumping those guys back, we've got an opportunity, we think, to redshirt him. But he's doing great.
Have you decided a redshirt on Landon or Chase?
Chase is going to redshirt. That was part of all the conversations in recruiting, and that holds true now. So Chase will redshirt. Landon, we're going to give just a little more time, and sat down with Landon last week as well and had that conversation. We're just going to give him a little more time. Something to do with Bowen being out right now, you know, and just getting a little closer to the ninth. So we'll give him just a little more time here before we decide.
How much more does Austin Fife have to develop his game in what areas?
Man, I tell you, the most important thing for Austin is that he just is who he is. You know, that's the best thing he can do for our team, and he will, right? You talk about a young guy that's going to do everything that he feels like is important, or he feels like is being asked of him, and he's going to do it to the absolute best of his ability, you know, to the way that he understands it. And that can be at practice, that could be in the locker room, that could be to do with academics, that could be, it doesn't matter. So he's going to play well, and he's a terrific player, and he's already, of course, shown that. So 2 years ago, you know, as a first-team All-League guy on our team that won a championship. So he's got all the stuff that it takes, and he's going to play well. The most important thing that he can do, and I'm confident that he will do, is just be who he is, and not worry too much about being anybody else or anything else.
One more question about deep ties. What does PJ bring to the coaching staff?
Oh, man. How much time you got? Yeah. You know, the things that jump right to mind, and that, since we were talking about Michael and about Noah, that connection from a recruiting standpoint, and what PJ has done in terms of recruiting in our state. So when we got here, and again, they're going back a ways, but when we got here 21 years ago, what Coach McDermott talked to us about as his staff, what we wanted to do was to be able to recruit the best high school players in the state of Iowa, right? And make this a place where they wanted to come. And PJ has done tremendous work along those lines. He's recruited the state. He's just been outstanding. Right? And you look at our roster and you look at the guys and where they're from and the number of guys from the state of Iowa that have done well for us and have done well for our program. You know, he's done great on that front. Right? And then you talk about loyalty and you talk about hard work and you talk about consistency. Like those are the things that come to mind when you ask me about Peach. No. Good. All right, thanks.